All right,
Yes,
guys,
yeah.
what's going on? So
No.
today, for the first Sunday interview episode, I have a very special guest. His name is Chase Jackson. I call him the Chase Jackson. He's one of. Uh-oh, did it get off? Uh-oh, let you
Yeah,
back in.
yeah, I'm good. I'm good.
There it is. Oh, there it is.
Okay.
All right. Like I said, his name is Chase Jackson. Like I say, he's one of more than likely the most undeniable talent that I've seen at the point guard position in a very, very long time. Uh, Chase Jackson, thank you for sitting down with me on this good Sunday,
Oh, I appreciate you having me. Appreciate you having me.
of course. So we'll start, like I start every interview, kind of start at the beginning. You know, when you first started playing ball, like how old were you? And tell me kind of how you got into basketball.
Um, I first started playing basketball in a city rec league around 3 years old. But I was always around basketball, basically from the time I was born. And so
Yeah,
my parents realized for me at a very young age that basketball was the thing that would keep me focused, keep me level headed.
yeah,
Because there would be moments when I was a baby and I'd be crying, and my mom would have on, Michael Jordan documentaries and whatnot. And once she would
yeah,
turn it off, I would stop. I would start crying, and then she would
yeah,
turn it back on, and then I'll stop crying and just be paying attention, just
yeah,
watch. And so from then on, my parents knew that basketball was a thing for me, and the
yeah.
thing that I love.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
So when did you start playing kind of organized? Were you three or were you a little bit older when you started playing like organized
up
ball?
four. Yeah,
4 years old?
yeah.
So you were like dribbling and stuff like without traveling at four?
I mean, there was some traveling going on, but I was dribbling.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know, I was one of those people that like it would surprise people. Like I would go out there and set screens.
Yeah.
Like 4 years old, like I'm going out there and setting screens and be like, where did he learn that from? But it's just something that
That's great.
watching a bunch of basketball. Watching my dad because I would watch my dad play basketball when I was younger. So I would just apply a lot of the stuff that I saw
Yeah.
into the real game.
So when did you really realize that you had a love for basketball? Like as far as you realized it, like you
Um,
really need to get up and go and play.
hmm um, like when I would say really around the time that I started realizing really that I was living, like when
Yeah.
I was cognizant of that, oh, I'm living life. So I was saying around like 6 years old,
Yeah.
and to push myself to want to be great. That was just something that I've always had. It wasn't necessarily having to have somebody push me or whatnot. It was just something that I always wanted to do. So I've always
Yeah.
been straight tunnel vision from since I was a kid. So my dream was always to be a professional basketball player. So
Yeah.
in my mind hasn't changed. So I've been
So you
on that
started
road
out
since.
in elementary school, junior high, you were at Oakwood, right?
Fourth through sixth grade, I was at Oakwood Elementary.
So did you play in leagues then during like fourth grade through sixth grade?
I did. Uh, we had like a school league then, and so
Okay.
fourth through sixth grade I played in those leagues, and then outside of that I played at Lakewood.
Okay. So how was that experience for you? Do you think that you were a little bit beyond your years when it came to your peers, or
Um,
was there competition for you?
I feel like yes, in a way, yes. I just feel like my mind, or at least my IQ, the state of my IQ has always been at a high level, and
Yeah.
and especially for a small kid, because even when I was, especially when I was younger, I was a lot smaller than everybody, and so
Yeah.
just having to have the mind to be able to go out there and perform, uh, really kept me above my peers.
Yeah. So we get to junior high starts for you in what, sixth grade? Is junior high?
Yeah, but I'll
Yeah.
say because that year at Oakwood, I was still considered elementary. So when I had moved to Sparkman Middle that next year, so seventh grade, that
Okay.
was when junior high started for me.
And you made the seventh grade team, correct?
Correct.
So of course, I'm sure then you're still the smallest
Yeah, for sure,
and
for sure.
the youngest because you're what, 2 years or a year or a half
Like
younger than.
about a year and a half behind. So
Yeah. So
or ahead for
you
that matter, but definitely the
right.
youngest by far.
So you were the youngest, the smallest.
hmm
What was that experience like going into that tryout?
Mm-hmm.
knowing that you have what some would consider a handicap because you're smaller.
Mm-hmm.
You're young, so they should be ahead of you ultimately,
Right.
right?
Mm-hmm.
What was that experience mentally like, preparing for that moment to know that you had to go up against guys that were bigger and older than you?
It was a confidence thing. I would say it was a confidence thing, but I never lacked in that.
Right.
Because at my time, especially during my time that I was at Oakwood, and being around my dad, because he was there, I'll be around, the older kids, playing with the older kids there. And so it
Yeah.
wasn't like it was a big change. It was just that, oh, now I'm in a different situation where now let's say I'm by myself. And so now I gotta go
Yeah.
show what I've been working on all this time and just go out there and do it. And
Yeah.
so that was basically my mindset going into that.
So what was everybody's reaction to you? Because is this the first time? Like, I know the class that you're in.
Mhm.
Is this the first time you're meeting these guys?
Yeah,
Like
this
Trey.
is the well, I would say this isn't the first time I'm meeting them, but this is the first time that we had real interactions because I've met them before
Yeah.
playing basketball before, but they didn't know who I was yet. And so
Yeah.
now that I'm at their school and now they know who I am, they still didn't know that I could play basketball yet until the tryout.
Yeah.
And so it would be like once we get to the tryout, I'm over there hooping and like, you can do all of this? We didn't know you were like this.
Yeah.
So that was a real special time looking back at it.
Yeah. Yeah. Of course.
Mhm.
So you play the point guard position.
Mhm.
Um, why do you think that position suits your individual skills so well?
Mhm. It just the way that I the way that I like to play the game, and I would say for the point guard spot, it's a spot where you got to think, and
Yeah.
so being being a thinker in just in life in general, I feel like that suits my game and how I like to play. Because growing up, I've always been a pass first player, but I always have the ability to go score, and so but I love being that pass first player. Like it's something about playmaking and making
Yeah.
plays for everybody, getting everybody else involved that it just feels good, making other people look good. But making other
Yeah.
people look good is what makes me look good. And so
Yeah.
everybody gets to win.
Yeah. I mean, you're the coach on the floor
Yeah.
ultimately. You're the extension of that coaching staff. You see things before coaches see them. You see them from a
Hmm.
different angle than coaches see them. So to be a point guard is a very special position, but it's also a very high responsibility.
Hmm, for
You
sure.
know, at the middle school level, the point guard is usually the most, I guess, skilled player on the court.
Hmm.
They're the one that can dribble the best. A lot of kids coming through junior high haven't
Hmm.
quite mastered ball handling, haven't
Yeah.
quite mastered screens. Point guards have to know all that. You know what I'm
Hmm.
saying? You have the ball in your hand all the time. So that pressure in middle school of having the ball all the time against a bigger class,
Hmm.
how did you handle that, going into the season,
Yeah.
seventh grade year?
Um, I would say handling pressure, but especially with the ball, I would say that was my hardest experience with that. I'll um, go back a little bit was in fourth grade. So I played another class that was even more ahead of me. So I played like Jakari Lane and those guys and like Dexter's. Um, at Lakewood, we had played a game. I was with Oakwood though, and so,
Yeah.
but I had an experience of where they were pressing all game, and I just couldn't handle it. And
Yeah.
so, like from that situation, I think from then on, it was like, okay, I'm starting to understand it more how people are gonna play me as I grow
Right.
up, especially gonna attacking the fact that I'm a small player, and so they feel like they can just attack me, whatever that may be. And so from then, I felt like my ability to be able to handle pressure was heightened, and so um, just being able to stay calm in all kinds of situations just led me even into middle school, all the way even up until now, to be able to handle
Yeah.
pressure uh, calmly.
Yeah. Yeah. Because until you demonstrate that calmness, I
Hmm.
think that's the team's idea is that if he's on the court, we're gonna go after him.
Right.
Because if we trap him, he can't see over the traps. If we pick him up full court, he's not gonna be able to handle the pressure the whole game. You
Hmm.
know, I can imagine you've seen that your whole career. I know I've seen you handle it, and I feel like that's uh, character making for you, but I think it's heartbreaking for other teams. Once
Yeah.
they they implement these traps and then it's a quick score on the other end, or you're
Mm-hmm.
breaking the trap by yourself, it's heartbreaking because it's like, what do you do now? And everything that teams will throw at you, we'll get into that later. You
Mm-hmm.
handle with a lot of calmness, like a lot
Yeah.
of almost you were almost kind of mad at yourself when you didn't break the presses.
Yeah.
Like
For
so,
sure. For sure.
yeah. So um, kind of describe me your. We talked about your offense a little bit. Describe to me like kind of your defensive philosophy. Like how do you approach the defensive game? Because you're tenacious on that end as well.
Yeah. So defense for me, um, once again, it all comes down to being a small guard. And
Yeah,
so being a small guard, I figured that I'd have to excel in almost all facets of the game. And so defense, especially that I forget that I'm small, I'm also like frail. Like I was always frail.
yeah,
And so defense was always a big thing for me. So I would always have to just take pride in not trying my best to not allow people to score this, and that, because
yeah,
I want to be able to stay on the floor. Because if I could play all the offense I want, but if the other team is scoring every time down on the other end, it's canceling out, and
yeah,
it's not helping us as a team win. And so defense, especially over the last couple of years, has been a big thing for me. Um, and I'll say like this past year, especially, uh, I was I was our point of attack defender. So I was guarding 94 feet all game on whoever the best guards were, no matter
yeah.
who it is, whatever matchup it is. Like there were times I get put in the game at the end of the game to get a game winning stop. Like that's
So,
the kind of defender that I've become and that I take pride in being.
yeah. I mean, because that's annoying, right?
Mhm.
If you're a guard who's 6'5", 6'4", 6'3",
Yeah.
the last thing you want is this little tenacious little guard coming at you
Hmm.
full court, poking at the ball,
Hmm.
absorbing contact. Because, like you said, you were frail, but you were not afraid of contact.
Hmm.
You know, there was no like just pushing you off and then
Yeah,
you would just give up. So it's like that's annoying to especially bigger players. You know what
for
I'm saying?
sure.
To have to dribbling up here, even
Hmm.
when they don't try, you're making these players have to bend down more, have to dribble lower. So you're absorbing a lot of effort into their muscles, into their body. You're wearing them down.
Yeah.
So it's I can see where that's annoying for the other player, but I can see
Hmm.
where that's gratifying for you. To see that you're getting under their skin.
Hmm.
Does that kind of motivate you more? Like once you see the frustration in these guards, like does that make you go harder?
Like I see like yeah, for sure. Like I see the frustration
Yeah,
in the guards and the fact that they're gonna be talking, and it's the fact that they talk to me and I don't talk back, and that upsets them
yeah,
even more. And so I'll see
yeah,
that, and then even their teammates, especially in moments where they're turning the ball over and they're like, and their teammates like lock in, like what are you doing?
yeah,
I'm like,
yeah,
yeah, we here, we're
yeah,
on that all game long. Like it's gonna be a long night for you.
yeah. That's annoying. When
Mm.
you say lock in, I am locked in.
Yeah,
It's just
exactly.
I don't know what's going on.
Hmm.
So to be able to do that though, like you said, you were frail, but you have picked up some size.
Hmm.
How have you kind of approached the fitness side, over the years as far as how you nutrition and things like that? Like because you are a smaller guard, like what
Hmm.
was your approach?
To fitness. I mean, me working out, I would say me being active has never been a problem. It's just been me, let's say, working out, like to gain or get stronger, and working out the right way.
Yeah,
Um, because I would say throughout high school, me working out and being in the weight room, that especially at the start of high school, I wasn't really in the weight room because me and my parents, we were like, oh, I'm too small right now to lift weights. We don't want to stunt my growth. And so we were trying to
yeah,
work on calisthenics and things like that. And then, literally my sophomore, it was like end of my freshman or sophomore year. That's when I first came to you and, did the Vertimax training. And I would say that I still tell people to this day, I'm like the Vertimax training probably the biggest thing to help
yeah,
me elevate my game for sure, because that obviously one my from my agility to my vertical to just the way I move,
yeah,
and gaining that extra quickness on that first step,
yeah,
is something amazing for me. So that in general, and now, obviously eating more, even though my metabolism is crazy, so I'm trying my best to keep eating. Um, and then I'm definitely in the weight room more now. So trying to be in the weight room at least 4 times a week as
Okay.
much as possible. Trying to gain muscle mass. I've been doing a pretty good job as of late, and so but my goal is to continue to keep gaining. So yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So what are you eating? Because you're allergic to something, right? Aren't you
Like
allergic
peanut. I'm
to?
allergic to, like peanuts, like all kinds of nuts. Yeah,
I remember I was like the first thing I think I told you when you first started Verdi Match was like eat peanut butter.
yeah.
You was like I
He was
can't.
like, we can't
Yeah,
eat that.
because that would have been like a real game changer where you like adding peanut butter to
Mm-hmm.
those Verdi Match. That's why I used to do it like Keyshawn and DeAndre all the time. Was
Yeah.
just have them stopped on peanut butter, and
Mm-hmm.
their muscles got stronger. Like they were small figured, but their muscles were strong and they were, you know,
Mm-hmm.
long.
Yeah.
So, are you able to eat? Is there any like peanut substitute that you're able to eat you could that you can't do?
Um, I would say the things that I eat the most, like let's say for breakfast, I high on eggs for protein.
Yeah,
High on eggs for protein. I eat oatmeal. Like oatmeal has been very like especially throughout the school year. Oatmeal was very consistent.
yeah,
Like oatmeal, eggs. About lunchtime, we talking about chicken and rice, stuff like that. Dinner time, pasta. I'm telling you, like pasta was like a
yeah,
everyday thing this past year at school. So
yeah.
like that was real consistent. And I could feel the difference in that too. So yeah.
How much do you think you've gained from high school to where you are now?
Like let's say from high school to from so my like my last day of senior year high school to today, about 20 pounds, about 20. Yeah.
You've grown some, right?
Yeah, about
Did you
two.
hit a spurt?
Yeah, a little bit, and I'm still going. So
Yeah,
yeah, so
we.
like over the just even the last few weeks, I'll see people be like, "You are you growing again?" I'm like, hey
But we
man, a little bit. We trying our best here.
yeah, we said it was going to happen though.
Yeah.
You were afraid because you were getting ready to graduate high school that you were too little to play at the next level, or the people were going to think you were.
Mm-hmm.
But a lot of people that grow after high school, like I remember people in college, I see them before we get ready to go to college, and then we get to school that fall. It's
Yeah.
like, who is
Yeah.
this?
Yeah.
So I mean, you see that's you. So let's backtrack a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Let's talk about your high school experience. You know, how would you overall classify your high school experience, playing experience?
My high school experience, I would say it was a lot of learning, like
Yeah,
self learning, um, confidence wise. That
yeah,
was the biggest thing for me, confidence wise. Because I would, let's say the school season would be over, I'll go AAU and I'll go and do what I know to do and
yeah,
just be that player that I know I can be. And then I'll come back to school and then it's like I'm playing like a shell of myself, even though it's not like I'm out here affecting the team in a negative way. I'm still affecting the team in a positive way, but it was like I could have done more. I could have done a lot more
right,
throughout my time in high school. Just looking back at it in the situations, like I literally could have done a lot more. And
yeah,
so, um, but it was all learning experiences and things like that to shape me into who I am today. And so,
yeah.
yeah.
Do you think that a lot of coaches see guys they are about who you are as a player, about your guys?
Can you say that again?
I said, do you think? Can you,
Yeah, it's like cutting out a little bit.
I said, you think that a lot of coaches see your guys? I mean, I know about who you are as a player based off of your size.
Um, in a way, especially especially opposing coaches. Um, but like the coaches that I've played for, like especially when I first got to high school, I was looked at in a way, especially even throughout high school up until halfway through my senior year. Was it till my coach didn't realize that that I affect the game in so many ways, and it's different that I affect the game in so many ways than just what my size is, and so that I play a lot bigger than my size. And so that was a big thing that I had to get, or that I had to get a lot of coaches to see in me and to understand. Um, and that's just been a big thing for me, like growing up in general, and just how I play the game, and especially for opposing coaches. And that's something that's driven me throughout the years, because like if I'm going out there, and especially when I'm starting against an opposing team, they automatically looking at all the matchups and they're like, him, him right there.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's who we're going at all game, like
yeah,
offensively and defensively. And I'm like, all right, bet. I got y'all. I got something for y'all just for that. Like
yeah.
that's how a lot of the stuff went as my time growing up.
So, what role do you think that you play within a team's dynamic? Both on the court and off the court. Like, what do you think your role is within? When you go into a team, what do you think you bring to that team as far as that culture?
Hmm.
The standard like that.
For any team that I feel like that I go to, I bring a work ethic that is just
Yeah,
consistent across the board. Um,
yeah,
I try to lead by example, whether it doesn't even have to be my voice. But once I find my voice, then okay, yeah, I'm gonna start leading by my voice. But if anything, at first, I'm always gonna try my best to lead by example and go out there and
yeah,
just work. Like I'm gonna show you that I'm not here to play around. I'm here to get the work, and I want to win. And whatever culture
yeah.
that I bring, I want to add on to their culture and just really just I'll just blend in, if not enhance it.
Yeah,
So yeah.
definitely. So, how do you handle? You have to throughout your career, how do you handle going into with a new coach and they have a different philosophy than what you
Yeah.
like? You had a situation said in high school where you were underutilized, you could have did more, and then you play a role where you are probably the main guy, the main point guard,
Hmm.
one of the main. How do you kind of transition from coach to coach as far as those different personalities and
Hmm.
coaching style?
That was even the thing that I went through this past year for my freshman year. So just understanding it obviously is going to take some time to understand a coach and their philosophies. But once I understand a coach and their philosophies, obviously just coming in and the way that I work is going to gain a coach's respect.
Yeah,
So I look to gain a coach's respect, and once I understand their philosophy, that's when I can adjust to it.
yeah,
And then also leaning on to the other players that have been there before me,
yeah,
in a sense. And so, but once I get through with that and I get comfortable enough, and then I start adjusting to whatever coach's philosophy that it is, then I still find my way into having that leadership role.
yeah.
Um, that was something that I went through this past year as well. And so it was like, I'm the youngest. I'm coming in as a freshman. I'm the only freshman on the team.
It's crazy.
Um, I come in and I'm really just trying to find my voice and everything. And so, we had a lot of upperclassmen as well. And so just coming in, it's like, okay, the upperclassmen, I'm trying to listen to them, see what they got, see what they have to say, and understand a new coach's philosophy, this, and that. And then it was like halfway through the season. I mean, like even throughout the season, I quickly realized that I'm still a leader.
Yeah,
But it wasn't until halfway through the season where I really realized that, oh, my teammates are still looking at me to,
yeah,
direct them here, this and that, regardless of who else was already here. And so I just think that's something that speaks to my character and how I carry myself, like day in and day out, whether it be on the court and off the court.
yeah,
And that's also something my coaches told me, that the way that I persevere through certain situations and handle myself, that I am building myself into a leader.
yeah. Absolutely. I mean, your work is loud as it's loud as vocal.
Hmm.
It's loud as the class clown. It's as loud as the loudest person in the room. Your work ethic, the way you walk on the court
Hmm.
gains respect. No matter who's on the floor with you, no matter who's on the team, I'm gonna follow someone. I'll say this: it's harder to not follow someone who's doing everything the right way, who's
Hmm.
putting work into them. It's hard not to follow that because now what should be the standard. No coach is going to deny a player.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're gaining coach's respect, well, you can't go beneath the hardest working player
Yeah.
because then it's clean, you know. So it's easy to see you get those, leadership roles because of how you approach your how you approach your game. Because you have a point to prove most of the time when you get for it, like you said, you are the target. So you approach every single day.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, it makes so. Tell me, kind of break down how your like when you are
It's cutting out again.
out.
Yeah.
Oh boy.
I can hear you.
Yeah. All right. I was asking, how do you analyze your like if you were able to kind of set your performance during warm up
Mm-hmm.
first month, how do you analyze the other point guard across from you?
A lot of it is obviously studying film beforehand.
Yeah.
That's something that I think for our generation is a little lost.
Yeah.
Being a student of the game, and so that was something that has been emphasized to me throughout the last couple of years for sure. And so
Yeah.
obviously just studying the other team in general, what they like to run, what they default like their tendencies, what they default to the most, um, and just analyzing the other team's point guards. A lot of the times, even because sometimes film will lie, and so
Oh
when the
yeah.
game, by the time the game starts, you know, after the first couple of plays, if I can figure out your rhythm, like if I can figure out your rhythm, then okay, it's something that I can deal with, or I could work around and shake your game up a little bit, because especially in our conference, a lot of the teams that we play, most of their teams are ran through their guards,
Yeah.
and so like their teams are like running off their guards, like their energy is based off how their guards play, and so if I can disrupt their guards' energy throughout the entire game, then that's my goal, because if I can do
Yeah.
that, then I can disrupt the entire team. Um, and so really just me figuring out the other team and their guards rhythm is the biggest thing for me.
Yeah. And how much time have you been watching?
Dependent on the how many opponents that we have within that week. So let's say we have like 2 games in that week and we play, 2 different teams. I'll watch probably two or three of their games. Oh no. Man.
Uh-oh. Give us 1 second, guys. I think Chase is having some technical difficulties. We're going to see if he's going to get back in the chat room right quick. Give him a couple of minutes before we try to reconnect. There he is. There we go.
Yeah,
Oh, it's you.
yeah. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I hear you.
Okay. Um, I was saying, hey, what was I just saying?
You watch, you're talking about film. So if you
Yeah.
have 2 games a week against
Hmm.
different, talk about
Yeah.
how often. Yeah,
Yeah. So I'll watch about like 2 or 3 of that team's games just to figure out, because one game they might show one thing and the next game they might show another. So I'll try to watch
right.
2 or 3 that, oh my goodness, what is going on here?
Chase is having a time over there. Yeah. But I feel like this is a really good interview, though. I think he's giving some really good answers.
Man.
Um, I think he's addressing a lot when it comes to being a very undersized guard. So if you have an undersized guard in your program, or if you are an undersized guard, I think that Chase Jackson is someone that you definitely should watch. I will put his social media handles and everything in the description of this interview, because he is a guard that has, persevered through a lot of doubt. He, like I said, he's definitely an undeniable talent. One of the best point guards I've came across, and he's very undersized. And very young. He was, I want to say, a year younger than all of his peers. He should have been, I think he should have graduated in 2024, if I'm not mistaken. But he came out in 2023. So, a lot of things set up against him. But you can't deny that he's just a very smart kid. So being advanced and being ahead of his class was just kind of natural, and it was something they couldn't deny. But he handled it, and he is continuing to handle it. Like you say, he's the only freshman on a college program team. He's at Oakwood University in Huntsville, Alabama. So he's handling his size. It's not a handicap for him. He takes that, and like you heard me say earlier, he is a very annoying defender. And he's also one of those players. If you have the opportunity to coach a player like Chase, he is one of those players that you don't have to say much to. Um, he's that coach on the floor. He sees what he sees, and he's going to make adjustments based off of what he sees. And so, he's a joy to have on the floor. Let's see if he can get back in. There we go. There we go.
I had to switch to my phone because I was on my laptop, so I switched to my phone.
Yeah, you're struggling over there.
Yeah.
All right, so yeah, so you're absolutely right. Teams, show different things on different games because they're playing different teams, right? So,
Mm-hmm.
one game, this team may be like you, attacking their guards. The
Mm-hmm.
next game, they may have players that are more post heavy, so they're playing more of an
Mm-hmm.
inside type of game. So, to study film, like you say, is a lost art. And I think a lot of players don't study film because they don't know how. They don't know what they're
Mm-hmm.
looking for, and they
Yeah.
don't know how to apply that to their game. And
Mm-hmm.
it comes from their coaches not knowing how. You have, especially at the high school level, you have teachers who are
Mm-hmm.
coaching but not really as knowledgeable as far as
Mm-hmm.
studying, and then they also don't have the time. Your little buddy sitting right here, he finna come on camper in a second.
Mm-hmm.
Mold cover. I see you. Go ahead and get yourself clean. Say hey and then go get yourself clean. Hey.
Hey man, what's going on?
Fell in some mud or something out there. So, water in my sink is covered in dirt and mud. Okay. It's all brown. Okay. But can I pretend that it's on soda? Sure. Okay. Um, so what would you say are your opportunities when it comes to your game? We don't say the word weakness, but what would you say are your opportunities still, and how do you address those opportunities, and what do you do to work on them?
Still, the biggest thing has always been strength.
Yeah.
So just continuing to get stronger every day, because I can see the difference in when I work and how strengthening my body is affecting my game in a positive way.
Yeah.
And so it's still putting my mind towards that and getting stronger. That in taking a lot of it is still on the offensive side of the ball, to, taking the opportunities that I get to score. Um, and so it's finding the balance. Is completely finding the balance of me playmaking, or like playmaking too much versus finding the shots for myself. And
Yeah.
so also because this past year there were a lot of moments in where now I'm playmaking too much. Not to say that the other teams are playing me off, but they're still playing me honest. But it's the fact of I can still be a much more effect if I'm attacking.
Right.
So it'd be attack from the start,
Yeah.
attacking from the jump. So because a lot of times I'll say this past year it'll be me. I'm trying to attack too late in the game,
Yeah.
and so then I'll be out of rhythm because I wasn't attacking from the start. And
Yeah.
so that's the biggest thing for me to work on is just attacking from the jump, from the
Yeah.
start of the game.
And that's been, I can say, any play for myself. I think that is something that you've always struggled with is
Hmm.
knowing when to take over. Knowing
Yeah.
how much too much, because it's easy, especially if you think about in a prep situation or in a high school senior situation. I had a whole team of seniors. So in those two situations, everybody's kind of wanting to get to that level. What's my next step? Am I being seen?
Hmm.
Do I have enough? So
Yeah.
it's easy. If Chase goes out here too early, he's a ball hog. You know, if he does too much, he's a ball hog. If he doesn't do anything, he's scared. So it's
Hmm.
a crazy imbalance when it comes to the perception of a point.
Yeah.
What do I give and what do I not give? Because
Hmm.
I think right now you're in a good place to where at the college level, not everybody's looking at have to be seen enough to go to the next level. Like
Hmm.
I'm trying to be recruited from high school to college. So you have a good opportunity now to kind of lay that foundation for yourself. And like you
Right.
said, you attack early because that's going to open up avenues for the rest of your team.
Hmm.
They're not going to see you as a ball hog because
Yeah.
they see you every day. So they're going to
Hmm.
have the expectation that this is what he brings to the floor. So now we can build our offense around his abilities.
Hmm.
You can kind of free
Yeah.
your in a sense. You don't have all that pressure of everybody saying he's this, he's that, he's this, he's that. If he does these things, because you know, like I've had to watch you. Like and it's hard to watch a kid that you know for a fact can come down and easily pick up 10, 11, 12 points in the
Mhm.
first 8 minutes of a game.
Yeah.
Like, what is going on? You know,
Hmm.
and it's like, but then you know exactly what's going on because at
Right.
the end of the day, take back to back shots. If you don't hit, even if you hit all those shots, let's be honest,
Hmm.
even if you hit all three shots, somebody's gonna be mad.
Yeah.
You know, somebody's gonna be upset, and it's gonna be a situation where it's like, I'm not getting my shine because Chase is doing everything. Chase is ball hogging. It's all about Chase. But the reality is, Chase, you have the ability to see the floor in a very different way. You see the floor in angles. As a point guard, you see those angles, you see those back cuts, you
Hmm.
see openings, but you also see when defenders are playing you light. You
Yeah.
shoot from very deep, and so defenders play you light or they overplay you. And so in
Hmm.
situations, you either shoot from deep or you blow past your defender. That's your fault. You know what I'm saying? But I think you
Yeah.
kind of took that on your shoulders as being your fault. Like I can't go by this defender because I have to get the ball to somebody else. I have to pass the ball. If I go by him, oh man, the bucket's wide open, but I don't want to lay it
Hmm.
up because I just scored last time. So I think finding that footing for yourself, and just understanding, really kind of
Hmm.
coming with exactly who you are as a player and how that translates to the team that you're on.
Hmm.
Have to from tip off
Yeah.
go hard. You know what I'm saying?
Be in
Because
attack mode.
that's going to be the two things that guards are going to do. They're either going to overplay you because you're small, or they're going to
Hmm.
offer you because you're small. So,
Yeah.
so
I would say
go ahead.
I was say like this throughout this past year, I would say towards the end of the year, I figured that out.
Yeah,
So literally from and the thing is my team, they want me to score because they know I
yeah,
can. And
yeah,
so and they know that the shots I'm gonna take, they know that
yeah,
the shots that I'm gonna take are all gonna be good shots.
yeah,
Because to be honest, about every shot I took last year was a very high percentage shot. And
yeah,
I'm gonna get the shot that I want.
yeah,
And so it was me figuring that out. And from then it was like, okay, yeah, bet we got it. And
yeah,
from then it was like my consistency and my consistency at the production that I was having was up here.
yeah,
So now it's just me continuing that, and especially now for this next year, I'm taking on a much higher role, and so and definitely the leadership role, and so now I know that I'm gonna go out there and do what I have to do.
absolutely. I mean, I think it was a matter of you getting to a level that finally equates to your IQ. You know, you
Mm-hmm.
were always ahead of your time. So now you're at a level where, like you said, your teammates want you to score. They want you to take over
Mm-hmm.
if you can,
Yeah.
because we want to win games. You know, coaches
Yeah.
want to win games at that level. It's not about
Mm-hmm.
who won the game. It's about the school itself winning games and kind of flipping
Mm-hmm.
the field as far as being a team that's dominant in their conference. That's what college is about,
Mm-hmm.
your conference.
Yeah.
So they're not going to care if Chase is out here taking high percentage shots. Now, if you come out here flipping the ball above your head backwards, then it's an issue.
Yeah.
But
Mm-hmm.
take good shots. We want you to do that. So I
Mm-hmm.
kind of finally reached a level to where the culture itself and the expectation matches what your IQ is and what your ability is. And
Mm-hmm.
so seeing that equal and that level playing field for yourself. So
Mm-hmm.
I think you're on good footing now. I think you're on level ground. You know, and the sky's the limit for you from this point because you're able to do exactly what it is you can do. Like everything your
Mm-hmm.
mind think, you're able to do it now. So
Yeah.
you're in a good place.
Yes,
So
sir. Yes, sir.
say either to yourself at 14 or to
Mm-hmm.
another kid that is probably 14, 15, and kind of in the same shoes as you. If
Yeah.
the person I think about the most when I think about Chase Jackson is I think about the kid named Ty Pace that goes to Sparkman now. You know,
Mm-hmm.
his size, but his grit and his determination.
Mm-hmm. For
Uh,
sure. Mm-hmm.
what would you say to players like Ty who kind of are coming up in the same? I think it's a little bit different in a way of
Yeah.
getting a lot more opportunity. I think at the high school level, but he's still very undersized. So, what would
Yeah.
you tell him as far as his game and how to approach and just make himself stand out and get college's attention?
Mm-hmm. I would say just, especially to my 14-year-old self, just to keep working.
Yeah,
Keep working very hard. Don't let anybody underestimate you or what anybody else has to say about you or your game or your size affect you.
yeah,
Um, because you know what you're capable of and you know what you work for. So
yeah,
don't let anybody tell you or try to put you in a box.
absolutely. Do you? How would I phrase it? Do you think that you spent a lot of time early on being in the box mentally?
I would say I would say in high school, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. There were times that I felt that I was in a box. But that was also in my own head because
yeah.
I didn't necessarily have to be in a box. And so it was a mix of things. It was a mix of
Yeah.
things.
So, what's the future look like for you? What's the goal for this current year for your sophomore season?
Hmm.
What is your goal for that for this season?
Um, Aside from individually, but as a program, just to change the culture.
Yeah,
That's a big thing for me because in the state of which our school is in right now, I feel like if we're able to have a great season and a big season, that changes the culture in a very positive way.
yeah,
That brings eyes onto the school. That just brings a lot of positivity around the school that I feel like is needed.
yeah,
And individually for me, just be able to go out there, be a leader, um, and just step my game up to another level because for the work that I've been putting in, I know I can step it up to that next level in which I'm gonna do.
absolutely. And what are you majoring in?
Computer science.
Computer science. So, what's the
Yeah.
dream? What is Chase's dream? The ultimate dream, not what's realistic or not
Mm-hmm.
easy to achieve. You know, because you get the degree, you're gonna land
Yeah.
job easily. What is
Yeah.
Chase's dream?
The dream has always been to get to the
Yeah,
NBA. Always been to get to the NBA. And even professionally, like professional basketball in itself, like I've been looking at it and I've been seeing the people around me and the people that I've been training with, playing with. And I feel like that is very achievable
yeah,
for me. I just have to continue to keep putting in the work to be able to do that.
yeah,
And aside from that, school wise, obviously computer science. but they don't have sports management as a minor at Oakwood. So I feel like after I finish my undergrad, I would go into sports management in some way, shape, or form because I still want to be around sports from academic perspective.
Yeah,
But as my dream to be a professional,
yeah.
it has always been that way.
And I'm glad you said you put that in two tiers. You said NBA, but then you also said professional basketball player.
Mm-hmm.
Because I think with this society right now, social media makes it look very, very achievable, to go to the NBA if you just do.
Yeah.
But I don't think people still put weight on just how talented and how big these NBA players are. These are not small players by any
No.
means. Most
Mm-hmm.
bench players, these practice players in the NBA will be the main player at probably most schools across.
Mm-hmm.
So the fact that you're able to kind of understand like professional ball is professional ball. There's a
Mm-hmm.
paycheck that's attached to that. There's notoriety that's attached to that, and
Mm-hmm.
there's the opportunity to continue playing basketball. You could go overseas and play for so many different leagues and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Yeah.
I just had a kid on here. Well, he's not a kid no more. He's a grown man now. But a young man that I watched play when he was in college at Columbus State
Mm-hmm.
and overseas, and he's playing in a different league throughout the whole entire year. He only
Yeah.
had 1 month off. You know what I'm saying? So he was off in June. He gets back to it in July. Now he's back over there in August playing. So it's year round. When you're
Mm-hmm.
overseas, it's year round. So I think that is a very achievable dream for you, goal for you,
Mm-hmm.
because there are so many levels to overseas ball, and there are so many ways to get out there.
Yeah.
Uh, I definitely think that's achievable for you, and I look forward to seeing you overseas. Like I think I will see you in the next. You got what, sophomore year, so the next 3 years, I'll
Mm-hmm.
be able to see some type of post saying that you have signed with some Euro
Yeah.
league, something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, And beyond this, like I told, Zach and Jaden and everybody I talked to on here, as
Mm-hmm.
your career progresses, I want to check back in with you, bring you
Okay.
back, kind of update, what you have going on, because I think kids can really follow other athletes that they can relate to, and a
Yeah.
lot of kids can relate to you because you have shared, some of those things. You have a frail body when you were in high school. You were little.
Mm-hmm.
You couldn't lift weights until a certain age. You had to take a different route. So,
Mm-hmm.
it's a lot that you shared that I think kids can relate to if they choose to, get
Yeah.
in. Um, so I appreciate you sharing,
For
and
sure.
I appreciate your respect for the game, and I appreciate your ability to work as hard as you do, and you are going to change the culture at Oakwood. You already are. You
I
already
appreciate that. Yep.
have been the talk of the town at from Huntsville in that area,
Mm-hmm.
as far as what you're doing at Oakwood. So keep doing that, and your team is going to follow you.
Yes, sir.
1 second, but your team is going to follow you. So you
Mm-hmm.
keep doing what you're doing, and I look forward to watching you. And I appreciate you, coming on with me this Sunday.
Yes, sir. I appreciate you having me once again. For sure. For sure.
But keep doing what you're doing, Chase.
Yes, sir. We'll do.
All right.
All right now.